On October 24th, Anton Rabie, co-founder of Spin Master, a global children's entertainment company, gave a keynote address to an audience of Spin Master leaders on growing their capacity to lead by shifting their behavior patterns. This interview with Dr. Bruce Sutton, a seasoned psychiatrist and graduate from Cornell University, accompanied the talk.
Bruce, it has really been amazing all the time we've spent together. I've lost track, maybe 6, 7 years I've been learning from you.
It's felt a lot less than that. Went by really quickly.
And you know what, I'm really excited for our leaders in Quebec to gain the knowledge and the expertise that I've gotten from you, and for you to share this with our staff at Spin Master. But just before we start, you graduated at Cornell with your doctorate.
I'm a doctor and an MD from U of T, and then I did a fellowship, residency and fellowship in psychiatry at Cornell.
Most of our leaders are very ambitious here, and they know what got you here won't get you there. So think about this. We have leaders who develop certain patterns in their 20s or 30s,
Yep.
and for them, they believe that's what made them successful.
Right.
But
it might have.
Right.
Those might have been great patterns for that stage of their career.
What are the things we need to consider to help people shift some patterns to be able to get to that next level?
Well, the first thing is, I guess, is do they want to change? Is there something that they want to change? I think what they start to realize when they get to a certain position, that my goals have now got to change, and perhaps I have to change to achieve those goals.
Right.
So that's a very positive way. That's a
Right.
very healthy way that change comes about. Change can also come about when people run into trouble.
How do they start the process? Take us through the journey.
Well, the awareness is the two things that I just mentioned. Either something bad has happened, and it's something that's happened to them before, and they start to realize, I need to make a change.
Right.
There's something that I'm doing that I can't keep saying every boss I have is a bad person or everybody I work with are just jerks. If they're at all insightful or they're all thinking about themselves and thinking about how they live, they'd start to realize, I just can't have that bad luck. Maybe there's something I'm doing.
And what are some of the tools, techniques, or the assignments that you give your patients to go on this journey?
Well, the first step is for them to learn how to flag the behavior. I want them to sort of develop an observing self and an open mind to others of what feedback they get from other people, but an observing self that can start to catch them doing those behaviors many times. People are what they repeatedly do. That's the definition of what people are.
Does that become their identity?
It becomes their identity. What we repeatedly do becomes a big part of our identity. If they don't see these patterns, then alerting them to the pattern and getting themselves to start to become aware of the pattern and being able to flag it. There I go again. I just did that thing with that guy I always do. And, that's a big, big step, the flagging of the pattern that they want to change.
Like, how long do you flag for it? Do you keep a journal?
There's lots of different techniques. It depends on the person, but there's no length of time that you're flagging. It has to become a habit of thought. You're going to have that habit of self-awareness, being able to observe yourself and catch yourself doing those things. How long do you do it for? If you're really good, you're always doing it.
Should I just write it down every time it happens for a couple of weeks? Or
if that's comfortable for them, or they feel that they can do it that way, I think that's great. It's a great way to start. But I want it to become even more kind of ingrained. I want it to become part of their thought pattern. It's not just a homework thing. I want it to become I want them to catch it in the moment.
And what's the step after flagging? So you flag. What are some of the other things?
You've got to start thinking about not just what you don't want to be anymore, but what you want to be. And you've got to start to have an idea of how you want to be. And usually where that idea comes from is that you actually see someone being like that.
Right.
And you get the idea that I want to be more like that. I like the way that person does that or handles that situation. You'll see somebody, hopefully they'll see somebody in the workplace or in life, and they'll see them have a character trait that they'd like to have. So for me was what I call a secret mentor.
You tell your patients to find, to come up with a name of a person they want to be like.
Don't get too large, how do I change my whole person? It's more how do I change this thing?
Do you create the image of the person or the image of the act?
The act.
The act.
The act.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be a person, but that's very global. I was thinking more of the act.
Like people who have this need for control, how often will it come up in their days with your patients?
Well, the need to control is huge. It's anxious people, people like the need to control things is a huge sort of pattern repetition that I see. And it's very ingrained and it's very deep and it's hard to get rid of, but it can be gotten rid of. But it usually comes from, it's usually stemming from childhood. It's not just a pattern that they've developed in the workforce.
What percentage of people can change that? Of your,
If you have a desire?
Yeah, you have a desire. What percentage of people?
It's like 90%.
They can change it.
If you've got the desire, for sure.
So that's great. So people
practice,
people can
perseverance.
overcome.
Oh, for sure.
patterns.
Oh my God. Practice and perseverance is huge. It's just like it's anything. It's like a sport.
So you need the same type of practice for shifting a pattern.
Very much so. It's practice and perseverance, and it's hard work. And it's usually done with somebody else a little bit. It's good to have a cheerleader, an outside person, somebody you can just have to report to every once in a while about what's happening. Otherwise, you can forget about it.
And what's the step after flagging? So you flag. What are some of the other things?
You've got to start thinking about not just what you don't want to be anymore, but what you want to be. And you've got to start to have an idea of how you want to be. And usually where that idea comes from is that you actually see someone being like that.
Right.
And you get the idea that I want to be more like that. I like the way that person does that or handles that situation. Or I just saw a conflict and I saw how someone diffused it. I want to be like that kind of a leader. So a positive sort of goal is better than like, I just don't want to be a control freak anymore.
You tell your patients to find, to come up with a name of a person they want to be like.
Yeah, or just a behavior that they like.
Any other steps in changing patterns?
Practice, perseverance. Just keep practicing it. Don't give up. These patterns are hard to get rid of and hard to break. It's better to concentrate not on breaking bad habits than on developing new habits.
Put more energy on that.
Much more. Much more. It's better to be having a goal that you're heading towards than to be going over the past and what you don't want to be.
What other tips, do you tell your patients on this topic?
Well, the big one is for them to realize that they're repeating a pattern that probably stems from a family dynamic that they grew up with. That's huge. And I get them to try and start to think about that and see if they can recognize that pattern and where it's coming from.
Do you ask them to try to remember where it came from?
Yeah. I mean, not as if there's some repressed memory, just like my father was like this, my mother was like this. I was always fighting with my father. I felt I had to protect my mother. And then we see like, you know what? I'm here listening to your history of work, and you're kind of doing the same thing over and over in the work situation as well.
And then what's the next step you take your patient through then after that?
Just keeping the eye on the prize, on the goal, and working at it and working at it. Keep on flagging. Keep on keeping them up and for the job, like just making it feel like don't give up. Like you can actually do this. That's important. Because they actually can.
Yeah.
You can overcome some of these patterns if that becomes your conscious goal.
Bruce, it's been great.
Thank you, Anton. It's nice to talk to you.